If you say love is action, then what of those who do everything right, yet never touch your soul? If you say love is a feeling, what happens when the feeling disappears? Does that mean it was never there? If you say love is choice, does that mean it can be chosen again tomorrow for someone else? If you say love is security, why do you feel most alive when it's uncertain? If you say love is sacrifice, must it always cost you peace? If you say love is loyalty, then what is that thing you feel when your heart still breaks for someone you had to walk away from? What is real love? What is it? How would you recognize it? Is it a feeling, a commitment, a sensation in the chest? Where did you first get the idea of love? And whatever that idea was, did you question it? Or did you just begin searching for someone to fulfill it? Would you know real love if it walked past you quietly, without trying to stay? If it didn't promise anything, if it didn't need anything, would you still call it love? Or do you only call it love when it answers your longing? If love does not control, protect, or possess, is it still love? Or has it become something unrecognizable to the part of you that wants certainty? And if your idea of love was inherited, can you be sure you've ever truly loved? Or were you simply fulfilling a role without ever meeting the reality behind it? You say you want love, but what kind? The kind that stays no matter what? The kind that chooses you over and over? The kind that completes the story you've been telling yourself since childhood? At the root of all our searching, there seems to be a longing for something quite strange. A kind of love that doesn't depend on how we look, how we behave, or whether we succeed. A love that stays not because it should, but because it is its nature to do so. We often call this unconditional love, but that raises a rather important question. Does such a thing actually exist? Or have we simply projected our deepest need onto an ideal and then spent our lives trying to prove it's real? You see, you rarely ask why you want it. You just assume that wanting is enough. But want is not the same as openness. And craving isn't the same as clarity. So often, what we call love is a kind of bargain. You play your part, they play theirs. I'll give you this part of me if you promise never to leave. I give you warmth if you give me certainty. I offer kindness if you stay within the lines I've drawn. Or, if you say the right things and meet the picture I've painted in my head, then it must be real love. No, that's not love. That's a deal dressed up in emotion. Unconditional love begins precisely where the deal collapses, where there is no if, no measurement, no need to earn, only presence, only what is. A mother doesn't cradle her child at 3 a.m. because it's pleasurable or because she'll receive applause. She does it because something moves through her without negotiation, without reason. That's what real love is. It flows not from duty or reward, but from being in harmony with what is. Like a stream, doesn't ask where it should go. It simply follows the lay of the land. Usually, you think you love someone when really you've just found someone to decorate your idea of love with. You say, I love her because she's kind. I love him because he understands me. I love them because of how they make me feel. And of course you do. You love the smile, the silence, the scent, the way they say your name when the world forgets you. But here's the question. If all of that changed, would you still love them? Most would say, well, no, because then they wouldn't be the same person. Exactly. Which means you're not loving blindly, and that's good. But it also means your love is tangled in the shape they take. And shapes change. So perhaps it's not about having no reason to love, but about loving without needing those reasons to behave. Real love is not unreasonable, but it doesn't make demands of its reasons. It sees clearly and still says yes. So then what is it? It's hard to say, because real love doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with trumpets and a labeled box. It slips in, sometimes unnoticed, like the hush just before dawn. You don't feel in control, but somehow you're not afraid. There's no need to perform, to impress, to bargain. You simply are. And they are. And something meets in the middle that cannot be named. Love isn't just an action, a feeling, or a choice, because each of these can exist without ever touching the depth where love lives. Love is the space between all those things. It is the silence that holds the note, the stillness beneath the motion. It is not what you do for someone. It's what remains when there's nothing left to prove. It is not what you feel in the rush of romance. It's what stays when the noise has gone quiet. Real love doesn't fit in a single sentence because it doesn't need to be defined. It just needs to be met. Without fear, without armor, without needing to make it anything but what it is. Take a flower. When you see a beautiful flower, what do you feel? You admire it, you breathe it in. And then something strange happens. The mind says, I must have it. And so you reach out, you pluck it, you take it home. And in doing so, you begin to kill the very thing that moved you. Love is the same. You can admire it, you can meet it, but you cannot hold it, at least not without changing it. Now this is where things get interesting, because while love may be perfectly simple, you are not. You see, the ego has a rather peculiar condition. It wants to experience love, but only on its own terms. It wants labels, guarantees, a sense of territory. And love, being what it is, offers none of that. It doesn't say, you are mine. It says, here I am. And that's terribly inconvenient for the part of you that still believes security is the same thing as love. So the ego does what it always does. It interprets freedom as threat, stillness as distance, uncertainty as danger, and so it asks questions. What are we? Where is this going? It's not really curious. It's negotiating terms. The ego, you see, loves in terms of return. It says, I'll love you if it serves me, if it secures me, if it confirms my story. But real love, unconditional love, has no such need. It doesn't say, I love you, if it says simply, I love. Even if you change, even if you walk away, even if the love isn't returned. Not because it's weak or selfless, but because that is the nature of love when it is free. It gives not to complete itself, but because in giving, it realizes it was never incomplete. Love isn't a contract. It's not a job title. It's not something you define. It's something you do, like a dance or a laugh. It vanishes the moment you try to hold it still. The real fear isn't that love will leave you. It's that it might change you, that it might show you you're not quite who you believed you were. Real love doesn't make you disappear. It shows you who's really there. You don't lose yourself in it. You see yourself more clearly than before. And sometimes what you see isn't the fantasy you'd been rehearsing. To truly love is to see not what you hope to see, but what is. And to see someone as they are, you must let your projection drop like a costume that no longer fits. You don't stay because it feels safe. You stay because you've stopped asking it to. Real love doesn't ask to be held forever. It asks to be seen just, once with, nothing in the way. And in that seeing, everything changes. Not because love came to complete you, but because, in its quiet mirror, you remembered you were already whole. Like the flower you try to take home, love, too, withers in captivity. But when you let it be, it grows in you. And nothing can take that away. So perhaps the real question isn't, will someone give me unconditional love? That's still the ego, waiting to receive. The more interesting question is, can I love without needing to hold on? Can I love not to gain, but to be in tune with the act of loving itself? Because then, love is no longer something you seek. It becomes something you are.